If you're considering buying real estate on James Island, watch this video first. As someone who lived on James Island and owned 2 homes on James Island for 5 years, I'm going to give you the inside scoop about what it's really like to live on James Island, the good and the not so good. James Island is one of Charleston's hidden gems. Just 10 minutes from downtown over the James Island Connector and 10 minutes to the beach, which is Folly Beach, one of the coolest spots in America. They actually call it the edge of America, and it's right at the edge of James Island. It's laid back. It's way less upscale than, let's say, Mount Pleasant, which is on the other side of the downtown peninsula. And it's not so cookie cutter because the homes are more eclectic in nature and more custom built because they've been around a little while. Most homes being developed in the 1980s and a lot of them being refreshed and rebuilt now. Picture huge oak trees, established neighborhoods, lots of green, and yes, some traffic. But here's the deal. It's not some manicured upscale subdivision that was pre-planned. James Island might be more like the neighborhood you grew up in. Maybe a little less upscale with a little bit more charm. It's not for everyone, but it could be for you. We'll talk about the pros and cons. All right, let's talk James Island real estate. What you'll pay and what you get. I'm Matt O'Neill, CEO of Matt O'Neill Real Estate, the highest rated real estate brokerage in Charleston with over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. I've helped 3,000 families relocate to the Charleston area, and I just love talking Charleston real estate. James Island is very near and dear to my heart. It's where I moved when I first came to Charleston, and I really loved it. My wife and I now live in Mount Pleasant, and we really love that too. There's a lot of differences between the two, but let's start with real estate. Let's start with what you get and what it costs. If we look at single family detached homes, so just a normal home on James Island, the average sales price is right around $700,000. And that's going to get you a home in the 2,500 square foot range, 3 bedrooms, maybe 4, a couple of baths. A lot of the houses on James Island are ranch style. Not all, but many of them are. These homes are selling for about 97% of asking price. There's about 2 months of inventory, which is kind of a tight amount of inventory. And we're selling about 30 of these homes a month. So about 1 a day is trading hands, which is a pretty decent pace of sale. And we see a pretty decent amount of these houses come up available for sale. Looking at the most expensive sales on James Island over the past year, and this is 2025 right now, the most expensive sale was $3.7 million, but not many sales in that $3 million range, and really not many over $2 million. Only 11 homes in the last 12 months have sold over $2 million, and those are all waterfront homes with possibly the ability to put in a dock, or it already has a dock and you've got access to the water. There were 80 sales on James Island between $1 million and $2 million, with the majority of those sales being in the one range, like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Those houses, a lot of them had marshfront views or tidal creek. Some of them, though, were not on the water. They were just really nice, newer constructed homes on James Island. There were 120 sales between $1 million and $700,000. And these were nice homes on James Island, most likely without a waterfront view, but a pretty good size in that 3,000 to 4,000 square feet and updated and really nice. And there were 220 sales in the past year on James Island under $700,000. So there are quite a few options in that $500,000 range, in the $600,000 range. The lowest possible price you'll ever see a property trade for on James Island that is single family detached, so not an apartment or a condo, but a single family home, is around $400,000, and that's going to be a house that needs some repairs. What you're going to get on James Island is a house that typically has a bigger yard because these houses were built a while ago. The neighborhoods are established and they had bigger yards then. When I lived on James Island, I started out in a townhome off of Rivers Point Row, and it was great. I really enjoyed living there. And then I bought a house and rehabbed it off of Yorktown. And I had a 1/4 acre lot with a huge backyard, big, beautiful trees, lots of shade. My dog loved it and I loved it. And the house ended up being really, really cute when I got it renovated and nice. All right, let's talk about what people don't tell you about living on James Island. The number one drawback is traffic on Folly Road. They say it's 10 minutes to Folly Beach. Sure, without traffic. But if it's Saturday at noon on a sunny day in the summertime, that drive to Folly Beach could take you 30 to 45 minutes because everyone's trying to get on the beach and it's on Folly Road. They say it's 10 minutes to downtown. Sure, if it's not rush hour. And if you're coming from downtown and getting onto Folly Road at 5:30 or 6 in the afternoon, you're going to have some traffic and it might take you 20 minutes to get from downtown to James Island. Now, that's not really long of a commute. I mean, James Island is one of the closest areas to downtown Charleston, and it is one of the closest areas to the beaches. Me, I live in Mount Pleasant. The same thing when I'm going to Isle of Palms on a beach day or I'm going to Sullivan's Island on a beach day. There's just beach traffic on a beach day. You can skip the traffic if you leave before 8 o'clock because most people don't get up that early. So my family and I do. We love to go to the beach before people wake up. Great parking spots if you go early. And then we're leaving when a lot of people are coming in and the traffic is not an issue if you decide to do that. The other downside of James Island is it is kind of eclectic. It's not extremely upscale. So there are power lines that go along Folly Road. They're not the most beautiful power lines. There's lots of fast food restaurants and signs all along Folly Road. And so it doesn't look as upscale or charming as an area that has been a little bit more pre-planned like Mount Pleasant or Daniel Island. But a lot of people really like that feel. And it might be something that you grew up with. It might be something where you just feel like, hey, this is my people. And when I lived on James Island, I said, hey, I'm a James Island person. And I really liked the way it felt. But not everybody likes the look of Folly Road with those power lines and all the signs for all the businesses that are right on the road. And then you've got some just downsides about living in Charleston. One, there's bugs. And when I say bugs, I mean specifically gnats. So we call them no-see-ums because you can't see them, they just bite you. And those usually show up when the weather's getting beautiful in March and April. And then the mosquitoes will come in the summertime, which, you can use some bug spray and that'll help knock those down. Oh, the gnats, there is a lotion called Hemp's lotion, and it is wonderful. It will take care of the gnats. You can just rub some Hemp's lotion on your arms, and then you won't get bit by the gnats. And so we love that going to our kids' soccer games. And then the other bugs, there's palmetto bugs. So those are the bugs of Charleston, and they're going to be on James Island. They're going to be on the most expensive houses that you can find in Charleston. It is what it is. The other downside to Charleston is really hot weather in the summer. I personally like the hot weather in the summertime because that's when I'm going to the beach or going on the boat, and we like to stay cool riding on the boat or in the beach. I like to surf. And so when the hot weather's out, that's like my favorite time of year. But if you're coming from the north or you're coming from a drier climate, we have a lot of humidity here, and that can be a shock to some people when they come here. All right, let's talk about if James Island is right for you. One of the biggest positives to James Island is Folly Beach. Folly is one of my favorite places in the world. I love to surf. The beach is so laid back. There's really fun beach bars and beach restaurants. It is not a commercial beach. So you compare Folly Beach to Isle of Palms Beach, which is the beach off of Mount Pleasant. And Isle of Palms feels kind of commercial. It feels a little bit more like a Myrtle Beach it's not that commercial, but it has a little bit more of that commercial feel. Folly Beach is still like that old school laid back surfers beach. And I really identify with that feel and that vibe. And it's a fun beach to live near. So if you're on James Island, that's the beach that you're going to go to most of the time. Beautiful beach, incredible like sand. It's not eroding. It's not falling into the ocean like some of the beaches are. And great waves if you like to surf or boogie board. It's just a really, really cool family beach. And it's a cool beach if you like water sports. The other big upside of James Island is close to downtown. And if it's not rush hour, you can get downtown in just 10 minutes. And the best restaurants in the world are downtown Charleston. Charleston is a foodie place. There's always a new great restaurant. There's James Beard chefs. It's just incredible. If you love to eat out, and I love to eat out, downtown Charleston is wonderful. And James Island is right next to downtown. So if you're not living on the peninsula, one of the closest places you can be to downtown for dining and shopping and entertainment is living on James Island. So that's a huge plus. The other thing that's extremely appealing about James Island is that it does have its own vibe, and its vibe is more laid back and chill than most other areas of affluent neighborhoods like you see in Charleston. So if you're looking for real estate that kind of has that laid back feel, but is right close to downtown, has an amazing beach, has more of an eclectic feel, James Island could be the perfect spot for you. Again, I lived there for 5 years, absolutely loved living there. I've got great things to say about James Island. So is James Island right for you? I want to hear from you. Comment below what you like, what you don't like. If you have questions about James Island, just leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you. And if you're looking for a real estate agent to show you around James Island, that's what we do at Matt O'Neill Real Estate. You can reach out to us at mattoneillrealestate.com. Really appreciate you watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.